Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse here, aka BGFH, and this is kind of a combination channel update video, current event topic video. I'm not really going to have anything on in the background, no gameplay or anything this time. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I have the web page up during a channel update, monthly or whatever regular channel update video. But I just wanted to come on and talk about a few different topics today, and we're going to start with a couple of the obvious, horrible ones to start with, get them out of the way, and then just kind of a thought-provoking topic that I've thought about off and on for a while, but I've had a couple conversations on social media, on Twitter lately. And just, give a little bit of more background there. And then I promise we will wrap up with some good news, some great news. And I'll also try to, at the end of the video, talk a little bit about what is coming in the next month or two on the channel as it regards to some of the upcoming gaming coverage events, with there being no E3 this year. So that's what you got in store for this particular video. I fell asleep a little bit early tonight. Not quite sure when this is going to go up, but I figured, I'm wide awake, and rather than trying to lay there and toss and turn, why not get a little bit of an early, why not get a video going? So, of course, I do have to touch on the events of the past week with George Floyd, that horrible, let's just call it what it is, murder of George Floyd. And, it's right in my backyard, literally. I'm in the neighboring town over. It happened in Minneapolis. I am in St. Paul. Some of the initial riots and looting and just horrible things that have happened over the past week. Yeah, they've flooded over to St. Paul, and I've, since the beginning of quarantine, I've kind of joked a little bit about it lately, but I've been practicing social distancing. I, honest to God, have not really gone anywhere for the past couple of months. Today I had to run out really quick to run an errand. And it was weird, man, because in addition to the social distancing, I have a bunch of little strip malls near me, and there are, even if places are open, they're like literally boarded up so that they look like they're closed, or so that they're, I don't know if the windows in themselves are broken, or if they're protecting against being broken into. Could be a combination. It's freaking weird, man. But I mean, as far as the George Floyd thing goes, yeah. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting that stupid things like this have to happen. When is enough enough? How many times does a black person, an African American person, any person of color, Native American, African American, how many times do they senselessly have to be? How many times does something like this have to happen? And I get their anger. I can't even begin to understand what they're going through. Yes, I do. I experience disability discrimination, but disability discrimination, as hard as that can be to deal with, is not worrying about stepping outside of your door and having to worry about, am I going to get murdered today or not? Am I wearing the right clothes? Do I look like I'm wearing gang colors? Do I, look, like a stereotypical just any number of things. Like literally, I mean, you hear kids say, asking their parents, um, if we go outside, are you gonna, or if we go outside, am I gonna die? Are you asking their parents, are you gonna die? You know, that's just heartbreaking. That's horrifying. So, you know, is that cop guilty? Yeah, absolutely. I don't see anything um, to say otherwise. I mean, obviously, I mean, come on. I'm not going to get into the whole, all the details with it. I mean, you can go to do that anywhere, but I mean, should he be charged with murder? Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, I think the three cops that just stood there and did nothing, or you know, the fact that they didn't stop this from happening, kind of, especially. I mean, come on, you don't kneel on somebody's neck for 8 minutes. I mean, the guy says he can't breathe. I haven't seen the whole video. I've only seen clips, and even that was hard to listen to. Even that was hard to watch. So, you know what? If they just stood there, or pinned him down or whatever, they're just as guilty as he is, for not stepping in. So, yeah, that's just I. What more can be said? I don't know. I mean, as far as the looting, the destruction of property, the setting fires, I respect, like, people should go out and protest. Obviously, there's everything wrong with what happened, what has been happening over the past several years. I mean, how many more times do we have to turn on the news and hear, oh, another shooting, another mass shooting, oh, another cop killing an innocent person? How many times do we have to hear that and still put up with it? Yeah, we should totally do something. But, I know I've heard that a lot of these, like, real, uh, real destructive people are like these anarchists that, come into the cities. Like, it's not necessarily your local, it's not necessarily a lot of your locals. There's been a lot of local peaceful protests, which I completely agree with. I completely respect. But, people coming in and just, using this as an excuse to get free things and loot stores and set fires and all that stuff. I mean, because, there's just so many things wrong with that. I mean, these are local businesses that people depend on. We need to live too. Everybody, in whatever neighborhood you're from, you have to go to the stores and get, groceries and things to live. Not only that, people need jobs. All of these, okay, you attack a Target, you attack whatever brand store it is. You, these places employ a lot of your local people, a lot of your local citizens, and then people having trouble finding jobs to begin with, and then you destroy the businesses that have the jobs to begin with. It's just going to make things even worse for the people living in that area. So, like I said, I don't get it, and that needs to stop as well. So, I don't get political on this channel. I have done a couple of rants on disability related topics, trolling, harassment, being treated as equal. I've had a few during channel updates and things. I've had a couple of, I guess you could call them rants, but I mean, like I said, I mean, I have to speak up, I mean, if I'm uploading and releasing videos 2 to 3 times a week and doing streams, yeah, I mean, I may not have a huge audience, but I think it is, partially my responsibility as well to stick up for, and just say something about all this horrible crap that has happened. So, I mean, even I heard a short interview, a couple of times earlier today from George Floyd's brother, and even, he's like, yes, let's do, we can do the peaceful protest, but doing all this other stuff is just a horrible insult to his name, and all of this other garbage is going to basically, that's the only thing that's going to be remembered about George Floyd. No one's going to remember George Floyd. They're going to remember all this other fires and looting and violence, and from both sides. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the cops that are going, aggro and just, it's horrible any way you look at it. So, I don't know. This just, it's gotta stop. Like I said, on any way you look at it, when is enough enough? This shit has to stop. So I'm just going to take a quick break, and, we'll have a moment of silence. About a minute of silence for George Floyd, for everyone else who's had to go through this shit, everyone else who's had to go through people's innocent lives being lost. So, alrighty. Well, I'm back. Yeah, just like I said, a moment of silence for everybody in just all this nonsense. So, moving along to other wonderful topics. Yeah, we're still in lockdown, and we're, because of all the stuff that has been going on. Not only are we in COVID-19, social distancing and kind of quarantine, we're still working from home. My I will likely be mostly working from home. There might be a few cases, and then maybe in the next month or two, three, that I will be able to go into the office to do a few minor things. But yeah, I'm going to be largely working from home for the next, who knows? This just might be a thing. I might largely do officey type work at home and just go in to meet with clients. Who knows? This is just a totally messed up new future that we got. And then on top of it, yeah, we have, for the last several days, we have had quarantines. Or not quarantine, well, curfews. That's the word I was looking for. We've had curfews anywhere from 8 o'clock at night to about 6 in the morning. I think this one wasn't quite as bad. I think tonight was 10 o'clock until 4 in the morning. But I know a lot of places are also implementing these curfews because just to really figure out, okay, well, the people who are doing the peaceful protest, the people who are, the law-abiding citizens and just, who just want to live their lives and not worry about getting shot or hurt or killed, but just trying to weed out the people who are causing the trouble. So I get it, but it's just 2020. I feel it's like this weird manic depressive, bipolar, completely, 1 minute you're just crushed, and then the next minute I'm super excited about something, which I'll talk about later in the video. But I mean, it's been a roller coaster this year. I mean, 2020, man, it has just been a complete clusterfuck. I mean, that's that's really the best way to put it. It has been, you know, I started out, we had this great Microsoft thing. I got to go out and do this awesome consulting gig, come back only just in time to witness the whole world go into, you know, just complete chaos. Um, and then on top of that, just all dealing with all the weirdness of that. And then, oh, okay, go through a breakup during that. Okay, that's great fun too. Not. And then having, having this police murder right in your backyard, you know, right in the two cities where you live. I mean, the one that was in 2016, the cop that shot the guy in his car. That was literally, I talked about it on a video, I'm sure, in the past, but that happened literally down the street, probably about 6, 7 blocks away from my house. A friend of mine and I were actually coming home. It was the year that the ACB convention was in Minneapolis. My friend and I were literally getting a lift home to my apartment, and we detoured around that police scene that night and didn't really know what happened until I woke up the next morning, and my friend goes, "Holy shit, you know that thing that we just detoured around? That's what this was." It was like, "Oh, that is so close." And back around those times, we actually held some work meetings in a building that was like about a block or two from that location. So it's real, I mean, this shit can happen anywhere. So, yeah, I mean, 2020 has just been largely a disaster. I can only hope things can start getting better. It's now June. I'm hoping the last 6 months of the year can at least give us some sanity back. I'm hoping. So, yeah, that's kind of an update on all the gloom going on. Um, like I said, I ran and did one of my errands today. And everything else I can pretty much do online. So, yeah, guess what? I'll be hunkering down in my little apartment bunker here and ordering some groceries online when I need them. A couple of things from Amazon here and there, but other than just kind of going outside to get a walk getting a walk and taking out the garbage, I'm not going anywhere, especially with all of these group gatherings due to protests and stuff. I have a really bad feeling that we're going to see another surge in cases of COVID-19. It's probably inevitably going to happen, and there's going to be this huge spike. So I don't want to be a part of that. I want to live. I don't want to take the chance of, catching it, and ugh, what a mess. So, yeah, that's kind of an update there. So, I mean, personally, things are okay. I'm fine. Like I said, I am working. I'm still working full time. I'm very, very fortunate. I'm extremely thankful to be in the position that I am, and I don't take that lightly. But yeah, I'm going to be working from home for the foreseeable future. And like I said, being, kind of trapped at home, now is a great time for people to kind of find something, find something that does, give them some happiness, some pleasure, some, you know, uh, improve some skills. Once we start hopefully getting onto this fairly, in this soonish, in the near future, you know, learn a skill. There's some nice free tools. Like I said, if you think you're going to be looking for a job later on or something, learn. There's some, you got that free Typer Online thing. You can learn typing, brush up on your technology skills, learn a, maybe somebody has always wanted to learn how to play a musical instrument or learn a craft or, practice something. Try those types of things. I mean, if that's something that now has never been a better time to try some things, and that's why I'm trying to find. I want to keep busy. I don't want to just sit and listen to the news and dwell on all the misery that's going on right now. So like I'm throwing myself full force into doing the best job that I can do while working from home, but also, really going full force into this game accessibility, XR accessibility. Like I said, by the way, I am doing that presentation next week on the 10th. And I have also gotten confirmation that I am going to be allowed to record it. He says, oh yeah, no problem. Of course you can record it. And I think it's going to be also available on their IGDA page and channel as well. So it will be out there. So, you can look forward to that. But yeah, I mean, I'm keeping busy. It's like, oh, I'm thinking about writing this RPG game with Sable. Working on the game accessibility stuff, VR accessibility stuff, cranking out new videos. Got a couple of assistive technology videos coming out in the next day or so, probably later today actually. And just like I said, yeah, I mean, just trying to, I do a little bit of online courses and webinars and presentations and stuff, just to like, I want to keep learning and keep improving my skills and all that kind of stuff. Now's never been a better time to do it. So, yeah. So one of the interesting conversations that I've had a few different times over social media, like the YouTube comments or Twitter or things like that, is just kind of, it's fantastic that we're getting to see. I mean, see, like I said, all those things that I've been talking about for the past however many minutes of 2020 has just been awful. On one hand, it's just been the worst year. I mean, I thought a couple prior years were bad, but like 2020 has just been awful in so many ways. And then you get this weird pocket of hope, game accessibility is just absolutely starting to take off. And how many times have I said in the past couple of years now that there's going to be a AAA game that is going to bust things wide open, and it's going to provide, some unprecedented level of accessibility that, it's kind of going to be the breaking point, the tipping point of where other companies are just going to have to follow along. They're just going to have to be like, okay, you know what? Okay, we're humbled. We didn't know, or we didn't think that this level of accessibility would be possible. It's obviously been proven that it is. But, we've had some games so far. We've had like things like Skullgirls, Sequence Storm, Eagle Island, Age of Empires. Some of these still have issues, but like, even Minecraft Dungeons, I got a video for that coming out sometime in the next few weeks. So many videos just that I'm working on. But there's been so many things in 2020 alone that have just been, games that are just coming out that are accessible or largely accessible. They may not be perfect, but they're taking huge steps in increasing their accessibility. One in particular that I'm going to mention and have to talk about at the end of the video. But, there's been some discussion about like, well, why is this only available for PC? Why isn't it available for iOS? Or, why is this only available on Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo? And yeah, does it suck that some of these are platform exclusive? Yeah, it sometimes does, but, unfortunately, welcome to the world of gaming. Gaming, just like, I think just what I said on Twitter earlier, gaming just like many other hobbies, is not always the cheapest thing. You know, you have the consoles, you have PC, you have mobile phones or tablets, and then you have games themselves. But I mean, these are things that, you know, mainstream players have had to do since the, you know, do you want an Atari? Do you want a ColecoVision? Do you want a Nintendo? Do you want a Sega Master System? Do you want a Genesis or a Super Nintendo? PlayStation, N64, or Dreamcast, or, you know, Saturn, or like I said, I mean, it's just I could keep going. You know, Xbox, PlayStation 3, GameCube, and honestly, now more than ever, like I said on Twitter, I think a lot of these, you know, a lot of these systems nowadays are pretty much, you know, whether you're exclusive to Xbox or PlayStation, a lot of the games, except for first-party titles, are also coming to PC. So one of the best things you can do, if you want to basically be able to play as many games that are multi-platform, is get a halfway decent PC. Okay, you may not be able to get the next Halo or The Last of Us, which are first-party exclusives, but largely a lot of the third-party stuff, that, you know, that's another reason that I play so many things on Steam or the Epic Store, is because, you know, the graphics cards are generally hold out a little bit better, and you get a little bit better performance a lot of times now. But it's also easy to record for me. So, you know, getting a halfway decent PC, because most of these modern systems now are essentially just glorified PCs. I mean, they're running largely on x86, processors, or they're running on essentially, modified PC hardware. You know, and that's why it's becoming much easier to do these cross-platform ports. So, we can more easily make a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or PC title. We can, you know, release them all at the same time because the architecture is actually fairly similar. So you have to have something, you know, that defines, or that, you know, distinguishes your system from the other guys. And one of those is game exclusives, or even DLC exclusives. You know, they did that with the Call of Duty games for a while. First it was an Xbox thing, then Sony ended up paying more for that, you know, for some of the DLC for that. So it was timed exclusive. But I mean, you know, you've always had, in the 16-bit days when it was fierce competition, you were never going to see Sonic on a Nintendo console, just like you would never see Mario or Link on a Sega console. Well, now that Sega's not in hardware, that's a totally different story, but now you have things like, you know, Master Chief or the Gears guys, you know, Forza, those are all Microsoft first party. So odds of them going to a PlayStation, close to nil. Things like Uncharted, The Last of Us, you know, the Spider-Man games, they're a Sony now. I mean, hell, like I said, the remake of God of War, it took me forever to buy a PS4, but, you know, that was one of the reasons, that was pretty much the reason that I finally took advantage of that PlayStation 4 sale last year. There were a handful of games that I knew that I was not going to get on any other system, including PC. I really wanted to play Spider-Man. I really wanted to play the God of War remake. I bought a PS3 for things like The Last of Us Part 1. 3D Dot Game Heroes, a few other titles on the PS3, the Uncharted series. I wanted to play those. So yeah, you know, and I knew The Last of Us 2 was coming out, not knowing anything about its accessibility, but, you know, having beat the first game, I knew that I wanted a PlayStation 4 because I had to play through the next chapter in Joe and Ellie's story there. I knew that was going to be an exclusive, and so, you know, I may not get it right away, but eventually, yeah. You know, I had an Xbox One for the longest time, but I did end up last year getting a PS4 on sale. So I will be ready for The Last of Us 2 later this month. Will I get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X? I don't know. A lot of Microsoft stuff again. I've talked a lot lately about the Xbox Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. A lot of the things that are, Microsoft's advantages, they do Windows and they do Xbox. So a lot of their first party exclusives, especially when you have things like even the Halo Master Chief Collection getting redone for PC now, you can play Gears, you can play Halo, you can play a lot of their first party Forza games, you can play a lot of these on a computer or an Xbox. So, will I get an Xbox Series X if you want to get, essentially your Xbox One or your Xbox Series X is probably going to be a cheaper gaming PC to some extent. You can play it on your TV, you can play it with a controller, and then if you want like your, you want your high-end gaming PC for, even better graphics or VR or just, you like gaming on a PC with a keyboard and mouse, they're going to give you that. So that's their advantage, especially with the Game Pass thing. It's really starting to pay off. But yeah, so there's going to be exclusives. And like I said, fully sighted gamers have had to make this decision since the dawn of gaming, Atari versus Coleco, etc., etc. So, and if I'm going to play a Nintendo game, guess what? That's just, I'm going to have to own a Nintendo system. I'm going to have to own a 3DS or a Switch. You're not going to play Mario on the PC or Zelda on an Xbox. It's one of the few things that differentiate a lot of these platforms because, like I said, a lot of them are they're kind of like just customized PCs at this point. They're like small PCs that are just devoted to gaming and consuming a few bits of media. So there is that, and is it like I said, is it the cheapest thing always? No, not at all. If you only knew what I spent on my Steam library alone, even with the sales, I'm doing it partly for the channel, but partly because I want to support the developers and play games. And yeah, does it suck that it's expensive? Sure. And I understand that a lot of people with disabilities, a lot of blind people are on lower income. I'm not going to say fixed income because technically I don't really like that term, fixed income. I actually kind of hate that term because I'm on a fixed income. It's called a salary. I get so much per paycheck every 2 weeks. It's fixed. I know what I'm going to get. Is it typically more than somebody who gets SSI is going to get? Yeah. But that's why I work, because I don't want to be, I want to be independent. I want to support myself. And I do want to be able to not have to worry about, living paycheck to paycheck or month to month. I live that, trust me, I live that way. I was paying rent and paying utility bills with credit cards just to live. I've told those stories before on the channel. It sucked hard. I hated it. I went through a good bit of depression there for a while. So I get it. I've been there firsthand. I get it. But that's why, again, and I kind of bring up, now that we're in this kind of quarantine lockdown situation, now's never been a better time. As a person with a disability, is it fair? No. Is life fair? No. Are we always going to have to probably work twice, 3, 4 times as hard to get half, to get close to the same equality as everybody else? Yeah, probably. Did I have to bust my ass to get to where I am, to having a good job, to living independently, living pretty comfortably? Yeah, I busted my ass for a good decade, or better. Did it come maybe as easy as it would the average sighted person? Of course not. I can't tell you how many job rejections I got. Back when they still gave out rejection letters for jobs. Now they just don't even bother to let you know anymore, it seems. But, back then, like I said, I joked that I could probably wallpaper my apartment with the amount of rejection letters that you got. Did I want to give up? Sure, I gave up a lot. Or I wanted to give up a lot. It's like, well, Jesus, no one's hiring me. I can't even get a job at a fast food joint just to pay the bills because they won't hire me. I can't go even work at McDonald's because their crap isn't accessible. They're not even going to hire me. What the heck am I supposed to do? Yeah, it was frustrating. It sucks. I know I kind of went off on a weird tangent again, but like it all kind of ties together, because it's not all about work. That's why I'm so excited about where things are going for, like audio described videos, game accessibility, things like Uber and Lyft so blind people can get around easier in addition to public transportation, door to door. There's so many things, knowing your technology so that you can be marketable to an employer, but just so you can have a better life, not just knowing your iPhone, but actually learning and having computer skills, learning to type, sitting down and actually learning Windows or learning the Mac, so that you have, skills where you can get hired even at an entry-level business job, because even an entry-level job, you got to do some stuff with a computer a lot of times. So, just having those kind of anything you can do will help. So, yeah, I mean, I've been really just trying to keep busy, getting this game accessibility thing. It's just been a crazy few months, and but that's where I can breathe a little bit easier because, like I said, I'm extremely, and I know it's going to be hard for anyone to get a job. There's been so many. I feel absolutely terrible for a lot of these small businesses that could potentially or probably even have gone under already just because of COVID-19, not being able to have the doors open for a couple to several months straight. Yeah, that can literally kill a business, and then a lot of these events going online, and being digital or being canceled outright, you're not getting the, if you're having an event at a convention center or a hotel, nearby businesses, small businesses are going to suffer because you don't have that influx of people coming to these events to support the area. Not having the state fair this year is going to just be a huge thing for this area of St. Paul, but the Twin Cities in general. So, yeah, I mean, so, especially for those of us who have a disability, who are blind, who are visually impaired, who have any other disability, in normal times, the old times, the long, long ago, from a cheesy South Park episode, it was hard back then, but we're going to have to work even harder. I mean, is it fair? No, but if we want to be independent, if we want to be, if we want to have a shot, we're just going to have to, buckle down and just fight for it as usual. Because now there's a lot of other people in the job market, disabled, not disabled. I mean, everybody's going to be looking for, the unemployment rate just shot up in the last couple of months. So, excuse me, a lot of people are on unemployment and whatnot. So yeah, it's going to be a lot harder to find the job, but I will say that it is absolutely worth doing. It is absolutely worth investing in yourself. That's the other nice thing. Yeah, I don't want to be I didn't want to be on government benefits, but I also, just like I said, I want to live independently. I want to have a good quality of life, and I want to, I take pride in the fact that, I can be just like everybody else. I have to fight, harder for it, but I can be out there and, be just like everybody else. And sometimes, we want equality, but we also, you got to take the good with the bad. Yeah, we want the same rights as everyone else, but sometimes that includes the responsibilities too. So, we have to be responsible and get a job and pay taxes and make all these tough choices that sighted people have been doing since the dawn of time. So, enough lecturing, enough ranting. Like I said, I figure I'll just dump it all out in one video, because this video is largely going to be, I don't know, just to get my pent-up frustrations and, just dealing with 2020, everyone's got stuff to deal with. Everybody does. And I got something in my throat, like a hair or something. Sorry about that, guys. So I think we're done with the maddening stuff. We're done with the bad news now. So to wrap up the video, I do want to talk about a few different things. And like I said, it's so weird because on one hand, 2020 so far has just been an absolute train wreck. But then you have this pocket of hope, I've been throwing myself headfirst into this game accessibility thing this year in a lot of different ways. And technology accessibility, game accessibility, VR accessibility, all these areas I've been throwing myself into fully. And I've been having a blast with it. That's honestly, that's one of the key things that have kind of kept me sane. Doing this kind of work, even, some of it, I've got a couple of paid gigs, which has been fantastic. Thank you, and I hope I can get more. But even just doing what I do and, doing the channel, I don't get paid for that. I don't get paid for some of the consulting gigs that I do, or just asking or helping people. That's fine. But like if it hadn't been for a lot of this, tech and game and all this accessibility things and all these positive things that are happening, I probably would be on the border of insanity right now. And I'm not making that up. It is something that's giving me hope, something that's giving me something to do. And there are some great things happening. Like I said, I just did a video recently for Age of Empires 2. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. I did that on Global Accessibility Awareness Day last month. And I was shocked because, like I said, I had played that game in the late 90s, like actually early 2000s is when I played it, 2001-ish or so. And it was a neat idea, but the problem is, even back then on lower screen resolutions, there were just so many little icons and so many things that were just hard to see that I just didn't have the patience, and it was just difficult for me to even bother with it much. So I never got into those types of games. And then I saw what they did with the Definitive Edition remaster of this, and it was literally just blown away. Like I said, it's still not fully playable, I would say, by a blind person. But that's something, if they make a future Age of Empires game to bring back the series, I don't doubt that they could make it work. They probably could find a way to make the game fully playable. They just got to really think of some control options and some way to really understand the physical layout of the map, what's on the screen. Because all the labeling and the text-to-speech support for items and buildings and villagers and soldiers and all that stuff is already there. They've figured that part out. So it's just the extra step, going that extra step further to get the rest of the interface good. So there's hope. I have a feeling that Forza is probably going to be doing something in the next couple of years. How many times have I mentioned things like Sequence Storm? and Skullgirls and Eagle Island, Mortal Kombat 11. They just did the Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath. That I'm doing the mixer. I have them all recorded, and so I have part 1 is out. Part 2 will be out next Monday of the story mode mixer archives. You know, those have had some degree of accessibility, and I would be. I have to mention, if you are a blind or low vision Xbox user and you have Mortal Kombat 11, I would highly recommend checking out, just do a Google search or follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. Look for one of my tweets, retweets from Sightless Combat and others. They are having the Sento fighting tournament for Mortal Kombat 11 on June 27th. This is a sponsored, Microsoft-supported Mortal Kombat 11 tournament exclusively for blind and visually impaired players. And I hope they get a lot of entries for that. I'm not going to enter just because I don't have the game for the Xbox One. I've been playing it on PC. And I really don't have the time to devote to really getting good with a character in that game for the tournament. Like I said, I'm just going to support it by spreading the word and watching it myself. Like I said, I'm definitely a scrub when it comes to the fighting game. I'm a noob, as they would say. So, yeah, if you are a blind or visually impaired Xbox One owner, check out that Sento Mortal Kombat tournament and consider entering, because, hey, we need more entries, and the more support this gets, the more that people see that, hey, there are blind players that own mainstream game consoles, the more we're going to see developers kind of consider taking accessibility more seriously. So I wouldn't have been doing my job if I didn't mention that during this video. I had to mention that. So you've got almost a month to register and practice up, guys, because I'll be watching. I definitely got to catch that. So there's that. Minecraft Dungeons. I've been playing that over the last few days, and there are a couple little oddities. I would say it's still, if you're totally blind, it's getting around the world that is the problem. You know, actually walking around the dungeons and the town and things like that. That's the main part that they have to figure out, because the rest of the game, I've streamed it. You can catch the archive for a short period of time on Mixer, mixer.com/BGFH. But it's going to be also going up to YouTube in the next few weeks on one of the Mixer Mondays. And I have I recorded a spotlight video for it? I don't remember. I think I might have. If I haven't, I'm going to. But, yeah, I've been playing that, and the text-to-speech is largely there too. There's a few things that definitely I would change and that need to be improved. But again, I'm blown away. Like, your main interface, all of your menus speak. Not only that, but your inventory screens. I can manage my inventory. All of that is fully spoken. I can listen to what my stats for items and weapons and armor and all those artifacts and stuff are. Those are spoken. How many times when I've been playing a game like Borderlands or an RPG or something with skill trees, how many times have I said, God, I wish these would just have speech support? That is starting to happen. So that's awesome. Expect more videos on that soon. Then we get to the main event. I don't know if I'm going to currently be able to cover the game like on video. It's going to depend if I get I forget what they call it, like PlayStation Remote, if I get that to work well enough. because theoretically there's a way that you can stream PlayStation games to your PC, similar how I do to the Xbox One to the PC. But I knew that when Uncharted 4 came out, it had a few accessibility features, and people were going crazy about that when it came out. But boy, even from their last title, shout out to Naughty Dog, because going from The Last of Us 4, or not, Uncharted 4, to The Last of Us Part 2, there was an article that was just released on The Verge like 2 days ago, where they interviewed some people from Naughty Dog, and they described they're having the amount of accessibility that is supposed to be in this game, not just for blind, but also including blind, is amazing. They said like 60 or more accessibility features. Not only that, this is a third-person action game. This is one of those games where I've said in other videos myself, how do you make a complex open world like Left 4 Dead, like The Last of Us, like Gears of War? How do you make a third or first person shooter level with complex level design, a mainstream huge AAA level design? How do you make that accessible to a blind player? Well, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're having audio cues, and they are saying, so far that I've heard, they are saying that a blind player should be able to fully play through The Last of Us Part 2, which is, yes, a PlayStation 4 exclusive right now. But yeah, I am extremely curious about this. I'm extremely excited about that news. Not only that, but they have features for low vision, like actually having enemies instead of remember I keep talking in shooters and stuff, like, oh, it's hard to see those enemies because they blend in, or the detailed environments are so good that it's hard to see where the characters are. I guess they're actually making you're simplifying the graphics, but like you're making enemies and like friend or foes like different colors, so like a red versus a blue or something like that. Just bright colors to make them stand out more. And I don't even know what all the other accessibility features are, but I mean, with 60 of them, you're going to have control remapping, you're going to have QuickTime options. So it's not just blindness, it's physical impairments, it's cognitive, it's sensory. I mean, I have a feeling this is going to be, it happened a lot sooner than I expected. And if a totally blind person is able to play fully through The Last of Us Part 2, it's going to be amazing. And remember, it's just, I've said that there's going to be a AAA game that's going to be the tipping point, that somebody's going to prove that it's doable, that it can be done, and that, a huge, this is probably I don't know how long the game is, but the first one was a several hour long game. It took me a while to beat. This is, the biggest of big AAA games. And if that's going to be fully playable to blind players, holy crap. There's your tipping point, because then other developers have to start listening. I know Ubisoft is working on stuff with like the Assassin's Creed games, Rainbow Six. EA is working on a lot of their sports games. I don't know about all their other stuff, but other companies are basically going to have to take notice now, And the funny thing is, I thought it honestly was going to be Microsoft, I thought it was going to be one of Microsoft studios that really showed a full, huge AAA game. And boy, surprisingly, I was proven wrong. If The Last of Us Part 2 is fully accessible, one of Sony's first-party developers, they got it done. I guess I just literally updated my PlayStation 4 today. I updated the firmware, And it's so frustrating because it has text to speech, but it is so, I don't want to say half-assed, but it kind of is. Like, it's, you go into the store, text to speech not supported. You go into the system update thing, text to speech not supported. You go into any menu that is not surface deep, 1 or 2 levels deep. You go into any of these menus and text to speech not supported. And that is extremely frustrating. And the PlayStation 5, they have to do better. They have to have learned. I would hope to God that they have learned. Okay, you went so far with the PS4. Let's make it really happen with the PS5. But now that you have a game like The Last of Us that is fully playable to blind, you have Mortal Kombat 11, you're starting to get games that are, people can play Madden, other games. So your platform, your storefront, all of these things have to be accessible, because if a blind player can't navigate through the store and actually download your game to even play it, again, we go back to the Steam thing. So many people are frustrated with Steam, and I get it. The storefronts themselves, the platforms themselves have to be accessible. So I hope that, Narrator does a pretty dang good job. I can fully navigate the store. I can manage my hard drive space on my Xbox One. I can buy, I can delete, I can install games. I can't do that fully with just text-to-speech on the PS4 right now. I got to use my vision for a lot of it still. But things are happening, guys. So, like I said, we started this video with a bunch of misery and frustration. I know some of my opinions are not going to be very popular, but that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm not doing this just to be mean, to lecture, to that's why I do what I do. That's why I do this game and tech accessibility stuff. That's why in the day job, that's why I work for the state, because I want to help people get out of poverty. I want to help people become independent. I want to help people, prove that they can get out and get jobs and be a productive member of society just like everybody else. That's important to me. Hey, why not? We want equality, absolutely. Let's get out there and get it done. But that's why I do a lot of the things that I do: the advocacy, the consulting, the accessibility advocacy, and in gaming and in employment and transition and all kinds of things. So I'm doing it from, basically all aspects of it, from the time you get up at 8 a.m. or at, 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. to the time you go to bed after you've, killed your last zombie. It's all aspects. I'm just kind of going for all of it. So a lot of cool things happening. Finally, I'm going to wrap up the video by just saying that I do have a few items on my calendar. I'm not going to cover every little event because I don't really know what all of them are necessarily going to be covering, but there are a good handful of events that are going to be coming out in the next, I would say, month and a half, that are going to take the place of E3. On Thursday the 4th, we were going to have the Sony, their supposedly their true unveiling, or first true unveiling of the PlayStation 5, but that got delayed because they, and I totally respect them for that. There was another one that I heard earlier today that had done something similar. I forget who it was. There was some other game company that was going to have an announcement in the next couple of days. It was the CD Projekt Red. It was the Witcher, or not Witcher, Cyberpunk. I guess there was supposed to be some Cyberpunk thing fairly soon, but they delayed that until the 25th, I want to say. So I don't know when Sony's rescheduled for. They haven't said yet, but basically they thought it would be kind of distasteful to, get all hyped up for a new game machine when there are way more important voices that need to be heard right now. And I totally respect them for doing that. Does it kind of suck that we won't be hearing about it later this week? Sure. But in the end, it's not that big a deal. We'll hear about it eventually, and trust me, I mean, like they said, there's a lot more important things going on right now. People need to be hearing, yes, Black Lives Matter. People need to hear voices from the Black and African American community. They need to, this, like I said earlier, this crap, and we're going full circle, this crap has got to stop. So I think we can put some of this video game stuff on the back burner for now and, give them, I mean, come on. I mean, it's being respectful. And I totally get that. But, and it shouldn't be just, oh, well, we're going to give them this a week or two. No, of course not. No. Just like Global Accessibility Awareness Day does not mean, oh, well, during this day we're going to promote accessibility and we're going to recognize people with disabilities and No, of course not. That accessibility should be a year-long, should be a constant thing that people consider, have in consideration. And just like everyone's basic human rights, Black human rights, no, it's not just about, oh, well, there was a tragedy, so we got to pretend like we got to, we got to cover it in the media for the next week or two. No, this is something, like I said, it's gone far enough. It's gone far enough years ago. But no, I mean, this enough is enough. Things have got to stop. This brutality, the police brutality, all these innocent killings have got to stop. And, yeah. So it's not just about now. It's now going forward. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say that, but it's just dumb that that people even have to say something like that. But apparently we do. So, like I said, Sony's event got delayed this week. I don't think there are any this week. There are a couple next week, I believe. There's a VR event on the 8th. I don't know exactly what time it is. I haven't actually seen. There might be something on there may be one or two other odds and ends later that week. I have my presentation on the evening of the 10th. So, that will be coming out in the next couple of weeks, presuming the recording goes well. I'm going to do everything in my power to make that happen. But yeah, within the rest of June, and I would say July for sure, is when you're going to have the most events. And if you want to tune into any live streams that I do, some of these I might not really, like there's the Guerrilla Collective. I don't remember when that one is, but that's in the next couple of weeks. There's some other 2-3 day events that will have things that I might do. I might stream part of it. So honestly, the best way if you want to follow some of these and get my takes, especially as it relates to accessibility, your best bet is to follow me on Twitter and Mixer. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. Mixer is mixer.com/BGFH. I will announce on Twitter prior to going live. Usually I try to give a little bit of notice ahead of time, but if it's an event maybe that I forgot about, or I'm working and then, oh crap, I got to go catch this event, it may be rather short notice, but I'm going to do my best, especially for the events that are, a little more higher profile, or that are going to have the chance of more significant announcements. I'm going to try to cover those in some fashion. And we do have WWDC later this month as well. We'll look at their keynote. Who knows? Maybe I'll stream that sucker live. instead of just doing my afterward thoughts, I can kind of, see what they're going to say about iOS 14 and whatnot. So, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff coming up. So, like I said, I am keeping super busy. Did a lot of streams this past weekend. I'm going to still try to do some streams, especially during the weekends, like on a Saturday, maybe a Sunday or something. But, I will be continuing to do that. Haven't really had many people show up the last several streams, but since Riley left. But I'm still trucking. We're still rolling. So anyway, this has been quite a long video. I hope it helped. I hope, like I said, I talked a lot about some not so fun things in this one, but I felt that they were worth saying. So I hope people found it helpful. And, like I said, just be encouraged that there are some cool things happening in accessibility. You even have things like, some more affordable new Braille displays either out or coming out soon. So, like, there are positive things happening. 2020, yes, is a complete train wreck in many ways, but you got to look for some positive stuff, because there are pockets of hope. There are. Just got to kind of really hunt for them, but there are some cool things happening. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the video and try to get some sleep again so I can actually get something accomplished tomorrow. I'm not sure when this video is going to go up. It might just be another bonus video because, I don't know, Saturday I do kind of want to cover another game video because I do want to highlight, on a timely fashion, I do want to highlight some of these games like Minecraft Dungeons that do have game accessibility features in them. So again, follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, Mixer.com/BGFH, IllegallyCited.com, and of course, YouTube.com/IllegallyCited. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you are a subscriber, thank you for the support. Thank you for all the great comments recently. I've seen actually a lot of great comments from people lately, with suggestions and just with saying they liked the videos, and it's appreciated, much appreciated. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up here, and we will chat with you guys in the next video. Later.